Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy, Sports and Fitness Rants? I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Got another great video for you guys today, as usual, man. You guys know the deal on this channel. We must continue to set the record straight. Stop the lies. Stop the narratives. Stop them from rewriting the history, y'all. You guys know that, man. And in this video, we're going to talk about Rudy Gobert and his 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards that he's won now. He was awarded Defensive Player of the Year award last night, man. Congratulations to him. Good for him. Once again, exposing this era, guys. And once again, these are not knock videos on these players. All this is to highlight, once again, put things into perspective and give you the historical context, right? To show you guys that this era is fraudulent compared to the other eras, guys. And I'm going to talk about Rudy Gobert and how he would never sniff for Defensive Player of the Year awards in an 80s or an 90s and early 2000s era NBA. There's no one playing defense out here now. I don't care about this guy's awards. I'm not impressed, man. Talk about this video. And I want to thank you guys, man, everyone across the world, everyone across states has been supporting my channel. Once again, guys, I'm truly humbled, man. Truly humbled to all you guys out there, man. It means a lot, man. You guys know it's never been about the money or the fame on this channel. It's always been about the facts. That's all it's been about. So shout out to all you guys out there, for real, man. The true, real basketball fans. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. So yes, guys, man, I wanted to do my continuation on how this era is becoming exposed with these award winners, man. And in this video, we want to focus on Rudy Gobert. Now, Rudy Gobert won his fourth Defensive Player of the Year award, tying an NBA record, I believe, with Ben Wallace and maybe Dikembe Mutombo. I can't remember who else has 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards on the top of my head. But it's time for an NBA record. But once again, guys, I've told you guys many, many times, man, we have to keep the same energy for the entire era. This whole era's been soft. It's been fraudulent over the last 7, 8, almost damn near 10 seasons now, guys. It's been a joke of an NBA, man. These guys are flopping around. They're load managing. There's no legit big men anymore. They don't play defense because they've taken the physicality out of the game. That's one way, but they also don't have the effort. The effort's not been there consistently at a high level for a lot of these players. They take nights off. They pick and choose when they want to exert themselves. This is the new era of NBA that we've been watching for several seasons now, guys. This is why a lot of people have gotten tired of the NBA. The ratings have been going down, and no one respects these clowns, right? These guys are a bunch of weirdos out there. I told you, they're a bunch of reality stars playing basketball now, right? They don't play for a love of the game. They're playing for the money and the fame. But when we think about it, Rudy Gobert and him winning his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award, guys, and I believe he's been in the NBA for 10 seasons now. I want to say maybe 9 or 10 seasons. So the man's almost won a Defensive Player of the Year award every other season that he's been in the league. What this does is it highlights and exposes this soft, weak era of NBA, guys. And when we talk about Rudy Gobert to me is not an all-time great defensive player. Now, on paper, him having those 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards might lead you to believe that he's one of the all-time great defensive players. He got 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards. He's got to be a top 10 defensive player of all time. No way in hell. No way. And we're going to compare Rudy Gobert to Patrick Ewing in this video. And I'm going to expose and highlight to you guys what I mean by this stuff. So, when we think about Rudy Gobert, guys, and I'm telling you, I'm going to compare him to a Patrick Ewing. When people think about Patrick Ewing, people who were not growing up in the 80s or the 90s did not watch this stuff. They may not consider Patrick Ewing a great center. You'll probably have many people that would say, oh, Patrick Ewing's not that great. He never won an MVP award. He never won a Defensive Player of the Year award. Things of that nature. He has no hardware per se. But once again, when they say these things or they feel that way about a Patrick Ewing, they expose themselves as not knowing the history of the NBA in the 90s. And what do I mean? So quite simply, when people say, oh, Patrick Ewing never won an MVP award, yes, absolutely, you're right. But what that does is it does not take away from Patrick Ewing. What that does is it shows and highlights how great his era was. That's what it shows, guys. Patrick Ewing never winning an MVP? Is Patrick Ewing going to win an MVP over Michael Jordan in the 90s? No. Is he going to win an MVP in the 80s over Magic Johnson or Larry Bird or that same Michael Jordan? No, he's not. These are the all-time great of the greats. These are players that people consider top 5, top 10 players in the history of the game. The Magic Johnsons, the Larry Birds, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, the Michael Jordans. These are the players that were in the NBA when Patrick Ewing came in the same year as Michael Jordan, guys. So that goes to one reason why we think about the 90s. Patrick Ewing going against Michael Jordan, the Hakeem Olajuwons, the Charles Barkleys, the Karl Malones for MVP awards. These are all top 20 players, guys. Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, the Hakeem Olajuwons, who I have in my top 10. So that shows and highlights why Patrick Ewing never won an MVP award. It wasn't due to his lack of game or his overall weakness or any of that stuff. What he was missing or not doing. No, he was a very good player, a great player. But he happened to play in one of the greatest eras for big men in the history of the game. So when we take it a step further, when we think about the Defensive Player of the Year awards that Rudy Gobert has won, and we think about Patrick Ewing, guys, to me, Patrick Ewing was a greater defensive player. He was a better shot blocker than Rudy Gobert. You look at the numbers, guys. The numbers are right there. It's all there in black and white. And if you watch the games, Patrick Ewing had to actually go against legit big men. He actually got challenged at the rim. Remember, guys would challenge you. They'll go at you. And Patrick Ewing never backed down. He would go. These guys did not shy away. They didn't flop. They stood there and they got dunked on. They took shoulders, elbows, all these things, man. And Patrick Ewing earned his spot in the NBA. He earned those block shots. He earned all that stuff with the physical game. Like I said, going against other great centers, big men of that era. So Patrick Ewing was a better shot blocker to me if you look at the numbers. Oh, did Patrick Ewing ever lead the league in shot blocks? No, he didn't. But once again, all this does is highlight the greatness of the era he played in. Rudy Gobert's never averaged more than 3 blocks a game in a season, guys. He's never averaged 3 or more blocks in a season. Patrick Ewing's done it several times. Patrick Ewing, I believe in the 1990 season, I want to say it was 1990, averaged 4 blocks per game. 4. Rudy Gobert's never sniffed 4 blocks in a season per game. And Patrick Ewing did not even lead the league in shot blocks because Hakeem Olajuwon averaged 4.6 blocks in a season. So when you think about guys like Patrick Ewing, and I compare him to Rudy Gobert, Patrick Ewing was a greater defensive player than Rudy Gobert. Patrick Ewing only made 3 all-defensive teams. So people would say, oh, Patrick Ewing, he wasn't even that many all-defensive teams. Once again, all this does is highlight the 90s era and the great defensive players of that era. When Patrick Ewing first came into the league, you're going against guys like Mark Eaton, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, the Moses Malones, the Robert Parishes, right? Some great big men. When we think about the 90s and the all-time great defensive players, how is Patrick Ewing supposed to make all defensive teams or win Defensive Player of the Year awards when you're going against some of the greatest defensive players at different positions in the history of the game? You're going against the Michael Jordans for Defensive Player of the Year awards. You're going against the Hakeem Olajuwons, the David Robinsons, the Dennis Rodmans, the Dikembe Mutombos, the Alonzo Mournings. These are the players that Patrick Ewing was going against. These are some of the most legendary defensive players. Some people consider Hakeem Olajuwon the greatest defensive player in the history of the game. Some people say that. This is who Patrick Ewing was going against for the Defensive Player of the Year award. Michael Jordan is considered the greatest perimeter defensive player in the history of the game. Arguably. Patrick Ewing's going against this guy for the Defensive Player of the Year award. Not to mention guys like Scottie Pippen, the Gary Paytons of the world. These are all-time great, legendary defensive players. Some people consider Gary Payton the greatest defensive point guard in the history of the game, played in Patrick Ewing's era. So when we think about these things, guys, this is part of the reason why Patrick Ewing never won these awards. He played in an era with legendary defenders. Now, when we flip it to Rudy Gobert, and we think about Rudy Gobert, like I said, never averaged 3 or more blocks in a season. Not one time in his career, guys. Not one time. He's not going against all-time legendary centers. Who is he going against? DeAndre Ayton? Who's he going against? Karl Anthony Towns before he went to Minnesota? Who's he going against? Once again, Nikola Jokic. Is Nikola Jokic a defensive prowess? Does he have a great defensive play? No. Who are the great centers of the era? Joel Embiid, his soft self, Miles Turner, Bam Adebayo, Robin Lopez. Who are the great centers? There are no great centers. There are no great defensive centers. Who are the great defensive players now? Let's think. Who are the great defensive players over the last 10 seasons? Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson Jr.? Who are they? I don't know, guys. Kawhi Leonard, who never plays, right? Hasn't sniffed a Defensive Player of the Year award in years. But these are the great defensive players of this era, guys. And Rudy Gobert. He's got 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards, right? Draymond Green. These are the great defensive players, guys. So we got Kawhi Leonard, who's won 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, right? You got Draymond Green, who's won 1. You got Rudy Gobert, who's won 4. Jaren Jackson Jr. won 1. Marcus Smart won 1. And that pretty much covers the last 9 or 10 seasons or so. Now, let's think about the 90s now. And let's go to 9 players that won Defensive Player of the Year awards of this era. You think about Dennis Rodman, 1990, 1991, Defensive Player of the Year, right? We think about Gary Payton, Defensive Player of the Year. We think about Hakeem Olajuwon, Defensive Player of the Year award, right? We think about Alonzo Mourning, Defensive Player of the Year award. Dikembe Mutombo, Defensive Player of the Year award. David Robinson, Defensive Player of the Year award. These are legendary defensive guys. Legendary. Not to mention the guys who are finishing runner-up, the Joe Dumars of the world, the Michael Jordans, the Scottie Pippens. These are all-time great defensive guys, right? The Karl Malones. So, when we think about that aspect, guys, is Rudy Gobert winning 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards in the 90s? I don't see it, guys. I don't see him winning any Defensive Player of the Year awards. And this goes to the same thing as a Patrick Ewing, guys. To me, Patrick Ewing is obviously the greater overall player, but to me, on the defensive end, the rebounding, they might be a little bit even, but I might give the edge to Patrick Ewing because, once again, Patrick Ewing is going against the great defensive guys, the great centers, big men in a physical era of NBA. He's banging down low. He has to go and battle for these rebounds. Not to mention he played with other really good rebounders like Charles Oakley's and the Anthony Masons. Some of these guys are really solid rebounders that took away some of his rebounding numbers per se. But Patrick Ewing, to me, on the defensive end, guys, even if you take it a step further and you look at defensive win shares, and I'm not big into the analytics or the advanced numbers and all of this stuff, right? I told you we didn't know about these things when I was growing up. But if you look at the defensive win shares for Rudy Gobert, for example, I believe he led the league in defensive win shares, 3 times, and I believe his highest was 6.0. Go look at Patrick Ewing's defensive win shares, guys. Go look at them. Rudy Gobert's not even close to these things. Patrick Ewing's up there at 8. He had 8 in several seasons, guys. Rudy Gobert's never been above 6. So what does that show you, guys? It highlights the defensive impact that Patrick Ewing had on the court because he could block shots. He could play good position basketball. He was a banger. He was physical. He was tough. He had heart and grit. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't soft. Rudy Gobert's known for being soft. All right, those are the facts, guys. His block shots ain't like that. Patrick Ewing was a better shot blocker, right? He was more elite at the shot blocking. But you want to know that because he never won Defensive Player of the Year award or led the league in shot blocks. Once again, because you had guys like David Robinson averaging almost over 4 blocks a game, Hakeem Olajuwon, the Mutombos, the Mark Eatons, the Manute Balls, all these guys. Some of these guys are averaging 5 blocks in a game in a season, guys, per game. These guys are leading the league in blocks in this era with 2.3 blocks, 2.5 blocks. We can also make an argument that Victor Wembanyama should have won Defensive Player of the Year award this season, but they did not give it to him. But we can make that argument. To me, Rudy Gobert is completely overrated. And now he's carved out a Hall of Fame career just off the strength of 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards. 4! It's a joke, guys. The NBA right now is a joke. Look at the awards. It's the same players over and over again. You got Nikola Jokic winning 3 MVPs in 4 seasons. You got this guy, Rudy Gobert, winning 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards in 5 or 6 years? Who are the other guys who have won over the last couple of years? Marcus Smart, Jaren Jackson Jr.? It's crazy, guys. It would never happen in previous eras, guys. This thing with the early 2000s, for example. Is he going to win Defensive Player of the Year award that many times over Ben Wallace or a Tim Duncan for these votings? A Kevin Garnett, right? A Marcus Camby, maybe even like a Joakim Noah. Some of these other guys who played in the later 2000s. Is he winning Defensive Player of the Year that many times over those guys? I don't see it. I don't see it, guys. Once again, this era's exposed. Rudy Gobert's exposed. He ain't that dude. Give me Patrick Ewing over Rudy Gobert any day. You put Patrick Ewing in this era. If you drug Patrick Ewing at his peak, right? If you put 1989 Patrick Ewing in the era, in the NBA right now, or you put him in the NBA in 2017, 2018, this man would have several Defensive Player of the Year awards. He would have had several in this era. He won none in the 90s, though. None. I'm telling you right now, look at the numbers, watch the game. Patrick Ewing would have won a couple Defensive Player of the Year awards easily in this weak, soft era. Going against who? Who's he going against in this era, Patrick Ewing? He would have been dominating these guys. He would have been bodying a Joel Embiid, destroying a Rudy Gobert, crushing Karl Anthony Towns, a DeAndre Ayton, a Miles Turner. Some of these soft dudes, man. Those are the facts, guys. Not impressed, man. Congratulations to Rudy Gobert, no doubt, man. But once again, it's a fraudulent era, guys. And it's exposed once again. Rudy Gobert, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year award, guys. Just think about how that sounds. Sounds insane, guys. But meanwhile, guys like Kobe Bryant never won one. Tim Duncan never won one. Scottie Pippen never won a Defensive Player of the Year award. Think about that, guys. But Rudy Gobert has 4 in this era. 4. Insane. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.